So we're a few weeks away from launching our new 2022 car, probably the biggest regulation changes chassis-wise from the last 50 years. And before we do so, we can stop for a second and have a look back on how the regulations evolved since the start of the new hybrid power unit era, basically from 2014 to 2021. Starting with 2014, it was very much the jump into the hybrid era. Alongside the new power unit came as well some fairly significant changes on the chassis side. Some of them were directly linked to aerodynamic performance, other to safety. For aerodynamic performance, it was just a reduction of downforce. The front wing got narrower. We also removed the beam wing just to get a balanced loss of downforce. And then for safety came the new regulations to enforce lower noses. In the previous years, there was a tendency for aero performance to design cars with a very high nose and chassis. That was very efficient for downforce. It was very good to feed the floor in terms of floor quality. But when there was an accident, there was always a tendency that one car was going to launch above the other one. And that was quite dangerous for the drivers. So the 2014 regulations tried to lower the chassis, get a new wording for the nose to make sure all the cars would end up with a low nose. And when you have a side accident, you just stay where you are. You don't risk to launch above. The other aspect which affected the chassis performance for aerodynamics was the relocation of the exhaust tailpipe. All the cars were using the exhaust gas to enhance the aerodynamic performance of the diffuser. So in the early 2010s, we were talking about blown diffusers with directly the tailpipe on the floor next to the tires. Then when we got to 2012, there was a first attempt to relocate the tailpipe to back off performance, but then teams still managed to find another location, which was on the side of the bodywork, quite upstream of the tires, and other aerodynamic ways to still get the benefit. So to make it simple, the regulations prescribe the tailpipe location under the rear wing, above the crash structure, in a location where there is nothing you can blow the gas towards. The effect of the exhaust relocation was the most powerful, because in the previous years, the biggest aerodynamic update you could see in season was not a wing, was not a floor, it was a new engine map. All this put together in 2014 led to a reduction of downforce, something like 20 to 30%, and the cars were aerodynamically a lot simpler to manage. In parallel to these chassis changes, with the new power unit, of course it became a bit more difficult to package the new, bigger power unit in the car. And of course, we also had to cool much more components, much more fluids than we were used to. The engine block itself is very small, but then all the side components, the exhaust, the turbo, the compressor, the plenum, the intercooler, all these start to take a lot of space. They all need independent cooling. So independently from the aerodynamics, the power unit in terms of cooling started to create a lot of challenges to design the car, package the car, and try and get something quite small which aerodynamics could exploit to enhance all the performance. The other aspect in 2014, which was quite significant as a consequence of the new power unit, was a large increase in minimum weight. So the cars became quite a lot heavier, to a minimum weight of 690 kilo. This was quite a large step to manage with the chassis design. The other aspect in terms of weight was with the new power unit, new fuel load regulations. With the hybrid engines came a maximum fuel allowance for the race of 100 kilo, with a fuel flow rate of 100 kilograms per hour. But the key was the 100 kilograms of fuel for the entire race. Again, in comparison to the V8s of the previous years, in a race, we would tend to use, broadly speaking, 170 kilo of fuel. So the new engines became far more efficient. As a consequence of the fuel load in a race, the car would be a bit lighter, but when you were going to qualify, the car was quite a lot heavier than before. So putting all together, you have a heavier car with less downforce. It's a recipe for having a car a bit more difficult to manage and less performing than in the previous years. The last aspect which started to be quite significant from 2014 onwards was the tower management. All the teams started more and more to look and to invest into managing the towers through a stint, understanding all the thermal behavior, the wear, and all these aspects really started ramping up through these years. That was going to feed in all the following years to quite a large extent. 2015, 2016, beyond the tweak on the nose regulations, all remain quite stable. And you would see the cars, they would evolve in a fairly subtle manner. And the biggest changes you would see were across each year when you would have the opportunity to review the entire power unit packaging, a new chassis, you would review all your cooling package, you would have an opportunity to review your front and rear suspension, your gearbox. So this is where you would see the biggest changes. And typically, you would see a trend of the cars shrinking more and more in size towards the back. You would get more compact radiators, more compact power unit, smaller gearbox, and all this was just freeing up potential for aerodynamic performance.
Space is for everyone. We're all working towards a common goal. Just seeing people learn and grow and the community benefiting as a whole.
We have vendors from all around this country, and all of that's bringing in a lot of jobs and getting to work in our community.
I give back by seeing companies grow. My work means something. It provides people with the ability to feed their families.
Not everyone who works on the space program is an engineer or scientist in a white lab coat, and there's vital roles.
Everybody at NASA is very teamwork driven. Nothing that we do here is done by itself.
All successful missions come from a team that works together, that is diverse.
And we each bring a different perspective to the team to help us achieve our goals.
There's literally an expert kind of within arm's reach that you can ask any question to, and you'll probably get one of the best answers in the world.
We take a lot of ownership in what we do. You get to see a lot of that passion, you get to see a lot of that drive. People want to do their best. People want to pull together to be a part of this program that's bigger than what any of us can accomplish on our own.
NASA does the trailblazing with technology. The kind of work we do, you can't rest on your laurels and say, okay, we're there. There's no end to what we can achieve, so we have to keep pushing ourselves.
In any airplane that I get on, it's exciting to think about, oh, this airplane probably at some point passed through many of our centers. We are with you when you fly. We are coming up with safer, newer technologies that are more silent, more energy efficient.
Just to be able to work here and be able to design and touch something that will one day travel to a new planet is amazing. I mean, it's indescribable.
NASA brings hope and inspiration by leading the world to space for the progression of all people.
Opening doors, I think for me, literally means kicking doors down. For me, a no as an entrepreneur is not a no. It's just a matter of reimagining what I can come back with. I founded Bala Books in a dining room in Soweto. I've learned that children don't have a voice in our country. My job was really to provide them with one.
Until 7 years old, when I started writing a book, I thought you could only start when you're in your 20s or 30s. And when my mom took me to Bala Books, I was writing and figuring out age does not signify when you can do something. Because I do get my earnings from this, I do.
So with COVID-19, I've had everything completely come to a halt. That affected my business negatively in terms of the physical trade. So the bookstores closed. We had to pivot to digital. We launched our digital app, which is a repository of child-authored books. We made this accessible for free to children during lockdown. That's also helped us because we can reach so many more children.
Oh, it's been a long lockdown. Sorry, I've already written 2 books. Reading is something that can take you out of your own world and put you in a better place.
One of the things that I always look at is, can we give access? I think a lot of kids need access, whether it's access to food, it's access to education. That's what opening doors means for me.
Bala Books has helped me realize that even if I'm 10 years old, I can still do anything.
We need to open doors for each other because the door is a revolving door. If you hold it for somebody, then the next time somebody will hold it for you.
The Dutch Masters welcomed the first of the 4 equestrian majors in 2022 in 's-Hertogenbosch, where fervent fans could marvel at the world's best horse rider combinations for the Rolex Grand Slam of show jumping.
Here at the Dutch Masters, the people are very close to the ring. The ambience is very warm and welcoming. when you enter the arena. So I'm excited that the crowd is back and that there's so many people which can enjoy this beautiful show with us.
One competitor making a first appearance at this event was 22-year-old rising star and Rolex testimony Harry Charles.
I had a great success last year and it's made me more hungry for more. One of my goals this year is to win a Rolex Grand Prix. So yeah, try and do it straight away, that would be even better.
You can have a very good run, you can be double clear, but if you are the one who is a part of a second quicker, and that's a decision of a part of a second, or a decision of maybe one stride or just one turn from one fence to the other, I think that will be decided in the jump-off.
12 riders qualified for the jump-off in the Rolex Grand Prix on Sunday. Home favourite Harry Smulders set up the pace with a clear round of 38.03 seconds aboard Monaco. Seventh to go, Rolex testimony Daniel Deusser displayed both skills and speed, with Scuderia 1918 Tobago Z crossing the finish line 0.13 seconds faster than the Dutch pairing. And when the last rider couldn't beat his time, joy sparked in the Deusser camp. The 40-year-old German has now won 2 of the last 4 equestrian majors, earning him a €250,000 bonus.
I knew that I have to really try to win, otherwise somebody would be faster. We saw that a lot of people behind me were a little bit faster, but at the end I'm very, very happy that I just put the right pressure for the other ones to also make a mistake. Yeah, I'm a happy man today.
The Rolex Grand Slam of show jumping returns in July with the CHIO Aachen.
I think surfing for me was kind of a therapy. I used to work downtown in San Francisco and it would get so screwed up I'd come out and I'd jump in the ocean and I'd feel all right again. You just get one wave and everything's okay.
Porsche is teaming up with Pixar to create a special one-of-one car inspired by Sally Carrera.
It's fun because it's come full circle. We're inspired by the Porsche originally for the movie Cars, and now that character is inspiring a new physical car.
Sally Carrera in the film Cars was the 2002 911, and here we are 20 years later creating this new special project.
We get to play car designers when we worked on Cars. Now we're actually working with Porsche.
One of our goals was not to create a car that copy-paste from the original one, with the eyes and the windscreen and the mouth. Instead, a real street-legal, drivable car.
This car is special, and whoever has this car will have something unique that will probably never happen again.
For this fundraiser and being the 20th anniversary for the car that we used in the film for Sally, it's a great opportunity to kind of use this time to give back in the spirit of Sally.
The Kalahari's got its own draw. It's vast and it's forever. You've just got to get into those sand dunes on your own, and there you're going to find a lot of solitude. It can seem like a place of massive emptiness, but you suddenly find 5, 6 different animal tracks right there. There's this huge amount of life, and when I'm on a filming project, I really like to try and live like the animals do so that I can experience the hardships that they're going through. I want to see wildlife in a totally different context, and that's really, I suppose, what draws me to the Kalahari. It's the vastness and the openness. I really enjoy being able to see these massive distances. Those are great images and things that stick with you.
April 11, 1951. During the Korean War, President Harry Truman relieves General Douglas MacArthur of his command in Asia.
General MacArthur is one of our greatest military commanders, but the cause of world peace is much more important than any individual.
MacArthur, who had challenged Truman's war policy, later gives his farewell speech before Congress.
Old soldiers never die. They just fade away.
1814. Napoleon Bonaparte abdicates as France's emperor. He's banished to the island of Elba off the coast of Italy. That's where Napoleon remains for the next 9 months until he mounts a brief return to power the following year. 1945. During World War II, American soldiers in Germany liberate Buchenwald, one of the first Nazi concentration camps. 1979, Idi Amin is deposed as Uganda's president as rebels and exiles backed by Tanzanian forces seize control in the African country. And 1970, Apollo 13 blasts off from Cape Canaveral, Florida, on NASA's third manned mission to the moon. But that mission is later cut short when an explosion cripples the spacecraft. Apollo 13's crew manages to return safely to Earth. Today in history, April 11th. Tim McGuire, The Associated Press.
Welcome back in our studio, and in today's news,